Today we've got a lot to dive into when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens. We've got some updates in regards to Kent Hughes and making trades. There's a player on the Habs who has spoken out about his future. And, of course, we gotta dive into the latest and greatest with Sid the Kid Crosby as to how he pertains to the Montreal Canadiens. It's all coming up here and more later on today's show, but this video is going to kick off with some commentary from David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period. I'm going to leave a link in the description to this article from yesterday. Mike Matheson wants to stay, and the Habs want to add. Lots of interesting stuff here in regards to the Canadiens, but the article brings up Montreal D-man Mike Matheson, who is in the final year of an 8-year, $39 million contract and is eligible to become a UFA next summer. The 31-year-old spoke with La Poche Bleue podcast with Maxime Lapierre and Pascal Leclerc at the club's annual charity golf tournament yesterday, and the Montreal native reiterated his preference to sign an extension with Montreal. "I'd like to stay here as long as possible," he said in French. "I'm letting my agent handle things." Now, this is, of course, not surprising. Mike Matheson has been a very versatile player for the Canadiens the past few years. Even with the emergence of Lane Hutson on the blue line, Matheson still has been one of the most played guys. You talk about ice time, you talk about just raw, hard minutes. Mike Matheson is one of the most utilized guys in the league, let alone on the team, with multiple 25, 26, 27, even 28-minute games under his belt from the 24-25 campaign. Say what you want about the talent level, say what you want about the decline in point production, which, of course, wasn't his fault. Matheson, the most recent campaign, had 31 points in 80 games, which was literally half of what he had accomplished the year before. Of course, the emergence of Lane Hutson on Power Play 1 kind of doomed Mike Matheson from being able to produce 62 points a season again, but still, the guy was a good pro. He played all the minutes he was given, whilst not being given top power play. But the problem is, Mike Matheson is one of many left-handed D who exist on the Habs blue line. Lane Hutson, Caden Gooley, Struble, and Arbor Xhekaj are all lefties too. And you have Matheson, who is supposed to be in that mix as well. That's 5D. You've only got room for one more righty. Well, okay, Noah Dobson's going to be in there. So is Alexandre Carrier. Say what you want about David Reinbacher. There aren't enough spots for all the defensemen who can probably play NHL minutes this upcoming year. And for Matheson, he's a little bit too good to be shoved down there on the third pairing. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what's the situation here? The guy's making a decent amount of money at $4.875 million a year, but if he wants to stay, how much do the Canadiens decide to cough up to keep him? He's not going to be a number one defenseman after all, although he might be played like one. The minutes and the actual usage in the defensive zone might say otherwise, but if you're building a team for the long term, Matheson at 31 is an easy pass comparative to what Lane Hutson and Caden Gooley bring. So we'll see whether or not Matheson can get his wish of staying in Montreal as long as possible. However, this article on the Fourth Period dives into what else can happen. Meanwhile, outside of the Mike Matheson conversation, Canadiens Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations Jeff Gorton and GM Kent Hughes both indicated on Monday that the Montreal Canadiens are still looking to improve their club this season and are open to making another move to acquire another top six forward. "We are always open to adding. It's pretty well documented that we went into the summer trying to improve our skill level, to try to add to our core. I think we were able to do some of that, but we're always going to look to get better," Gorton said, as quoted by TSN's Kenzie Lalonde. "We'll see what could be out there, but more encouraged in the now and how camp is going to go." So, no surprises there. The Montreal Canadiens, after adding Noah Dobson and after adding Zachary Bolduc, they still want to get more, which makes sense when you think about the uncertainty of Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook down the middle. Sure, say what you want about Dach being fully healthy and able to participate in practice with 100%, but still, just because he is healthy doesn't mean he is a bona fide second-line center. He has the potential to be, but we kind of have to wait and see actual games played before we come to that conclusion. David Reinbacher is also 100% healthy, and he had himself a pretty meh showcase in the prospect games. So whether or not he ends up becoming an 82-game NHL guy this upcoming year remains to be seen. But Montreal's always looking at the market. They're always trying to add more. They've been very active in exploring trade ideas, and they've always been in the mix, so I don't doubt Hughes and Gorton will be continuing that process. The article talks about how the Canadiens have over $4.56 million in salary cap space and can create more depending on who is sent down to the minors by the start of the year, which will give Hughes flexibility to add a pricier forward this season. Ultimately, we don't feel like we're done building our hockey team, Hughes told reporters, but we're in that phase or sequence where we're constructing a hockey team. Our priority isn't just being as efficient as we can in terms of our asset management. If we have to overpay to do something to get a specific player who we think is important to the future of our team, then we'll do it. So, pretty calm and tame comments so far. Of course, we'll wait and see as to whether or not this actually boils into anything more in the upcoming days. But for now, Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton, they are interested in adding. They're trying to improve their roster. They want to be open to whichever other options are available. And this will be very interesting to follow as the Canadiens navigate what is inevitably going to be a competitive market for trades. And the reason I say that is because by the time November rolls around, you bet your gosh darn tootin' that there are going to be at least some teams that start to understand, oh, wait a minute, maybe we're not actually as good as we thought we were. Maybe now is the time to start selling, and the Montreal Canadiens could take advantage of that if they put themselves in the right spots and they converse with the right people at the right times. But let's shift our gears over to one player that could be of interest, depending on who you ask. The Montreal Canadiens' number one trade target that everybody seems to be talking about, it's Sidney Crosby. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to another article. This one was on HabsFanatics.com, published by Elias Edmondson. BPM journalist makes two stunning revelations on the Crosby buzz in Habs Nation. Let's scroll down here. In the past few minutes on BPM Sports, Alain Cret revealed two major pieces of info regarding Crosby and the Canadiens. Here's his quote from Le Club du Matin. You know, I can confirm that Kent Hughes is following the Crosby situation right now. He then added this. Sidney Crosby. If the Penguins start the season with 3 wins and 15 losses, let's say, well, maybe then the Penguins... And what I was told, what I learned yesterday, is that the Penguins have been trying to trade Crosby for more than a year now. Oh my goodness, talk about burying the lead. What? BPM Sports Talk analyst Alain Cret's going out there and saying that he's hearing sources that the Penguins have already been trying to trade Crosby? They've been trying to trade this guy for a year? Now, you can debate whether or not you believe that. It's totally in your prerogative to not. But if this is true, and if this is the timeline that we have to follow, it does open some doors as to where exactly the Crosby conversation can be going down. Because if this guy has already been talked about, tossed around there in different trade conversations with various teams, then okay, open the floodgates, baby. Let this guy play for a bad team and let him decide when it's time to go, because when Crosby says it, that's probably the time that a move is going to get done. I have no doubt that if any NHL team was offered up Sidney Crosby in a trade, they probably would have taken it already. So whether or not there have been trade discussions, I mean, I guess we're hearing now apparently there have been, but it's all going to be up to Sid himself as to whether or not those actually evolve into real trades. So with all this in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Montreal's trade situation, this update here about the Canadiens wanting to add more. What are your thoughts on Mike Matheson's future with the team? And how do you feel about the Sidney Crosby sweepstakes? How Kent Hughes is apparently paying very close attention. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.